The Renaissance, 1500 to 1660. The Renaissance, often called the rebirth, was a period of profound cultural, intellectual, and artistic renewal in Europe. In England, it marked the transition from the medieval world to the modern age. Inspired by the rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman ideas, it emphasized humanism, individuality, and exploration. Literature flourished during this time, with English drama reaching its golden age under the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I. Historical context. The Renaissance began in Italy in the 14th century and spread across Europe, reaching England in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. This period coincided with significant historical events, such as the Reformation, the invention of the printing press, and the Age of Exploration. England's stability under Tudor monarchs, particularly Queen Elizabeth I, created a fertile ground for artistic and literary innovation. The influence of classical texts and humanist ideals inspired writers to explore themes of human potential, reason, and the complexities of life. The Renaissance also reflected a growing secularism, though religion remained an important subject in many works. Key characteristics of Renaissance literature: 1. Humanism, a focus on human potential, reason, and individual experience, inspired by classical Greek and Roman ideals. 2. Revival of classical learning. Writers often drew on the mythology, philosophy, and literature of ancient Greece and Rome. 3. Exploration of human nature. Literature delved into human emotions, morality, and the complexities of relationships. 4. Innovation in drama. Playwrights like William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe developed complex characters and intricate plots, often combining tragedy and comedy. 5. Use of the vernacular. English writers embraced the vernacular language, elevating it to produce works of exceptional artistry and depth. 6. Secular themes. Although religion was still significant, there was an increasing focus on secular subjects, such as love, power, and ambition. The Renaissance, 1500 to 1660, and its subperiods. The Renaissance in England can be divided into 5 distinct subperiods. Each subperiod reflects specific historical, cultural, and literary trends, contributing to the remarkable diversity of Renaissance literature. 1. The early Tudor period, 1500 to 1558. The early Tudor period represents the beginning of the English Renaissance, heavily influenced by the Italian Renaissance, which had already begun a century earlier. This phase marked the transition from medieval scholasticism to Renaissance humanism. Historical context. The Tudor monarchy was established under Henry VII, bringing political stability after the Wars of the Roses. Henry VIII's reign, 1509 to 1547, and the English Reformation, including the break from the Roman Catholic Church, were pivotal events shaping cultural and intellectual life. Education and classical learning flourished due to the revival of humanism. Literary features. Religious and moral themes dominated, reflecting the tension between Catholic and Protestant ideologies. Literature was primarily influenced by classical works focusing on reason, human potential, and moral virtue. Notable works and writers. The Book of Common Prayer, 1549, a significant text of the English Reformation. Sir Thomas More's Utopia, 1516, envisioning an ideal society. John Skelton, known for satirical and allegorical poetry, such as Colin Clout. 2. The Elizabethan Age, 1558 to 1603. The Elizabethan Age is considered the golden age of English literature, coinciding with the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. It was a time of national pride, fueled by England's defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 and the flourishing of arts, exploration, and intellectual pursuits. Historical context. Queen Elizabeth I's rule fostered cultural and artistic growth. The influence of classical antiquity, combined with political stability, encouraged creativity and experimentation. The English Renaissance reached its zenith in drama, poetry, and prose. Literary features. Drama saw immense growth, with complex characters and innovative use of verse. Lyric poetry and sonnets gained prominence. Themes of love, ambition, and human nature were explored, often reflecting the ideals of humanism. Notable works and writers. William Shakespeare's plays, such as Hamlet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Romeo and Juliet. Edmund Spenser's The Faerie Queene, an allegorical epic celebrating Elizabethan virtues. Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, a tragedy about ambition and morality. 3. The Jacobean Age, 1603 to 1625. The Jacobean Age refers to the reign of James I and represents a darker and more introspective phase of the Renaissance. Literature during this period often explored themes of corruption, ambition, and disillusionment. Historical context. The union of England and Scotland under James I influenced national identity. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 created political and religious tensions. Scientific advancements and philosophical inquiries challenged traditional beliefs. Literary features. Drama became more somber, focusing on human flaws and societal corruption. Metaphysical poetry emerged, characterized by intellectual complexity and striking imagery. Prose works explored philosophical and moral issues. Notable works and writers. William Shakespeare's later plays, such as Macbeth and The Tempest. Ben Jonson's comedies, including Volpone and The Alchemist. John Donne's metaphysical poetry, blending intellect with emotional depth. The Caroline Age, 1625 to 1649. The Caroline Age corresponds to the reign of Charles I and reflects a period of political and religious turmoil, culminating in the English Civil War. Literature during this era often reflected the tensions between monarchy and Puritanism. Historical context. Charles I's conflicts with Parliament and the rise of Puritanism created a divided society. The Civil War, 1642 to 1651, brought about significant upheaval. Court culture flourished despite political unrest, influencing Cavalier poetry. Literary features. Cavalier poetry celebrated love, loyalty, and the pleasures of life, often written by poets loyal to the king. Metaphysical poetry continued to thrive. Religious themes became prominent in prose and poetry, reflecting the rise of Puritanism. Notable works and writers. John Milton's early poetry, such as Lycidas. Robert Herrick's Cavalier poems, including To the Virgins, To Make Much of Time. Richard Crashaw, a metaphysical poet known for his religious verse. The Commonwealth period, 1649 to 1660. The Commonwealth period, also known as the Puritan Interregnum, began with the execution of Charles III and the establishment of the Commonwealth under Oliver Cromwell. It was a time of political and religious austerity, marked by limited literary output. Historical context. The monarchy was replaced by a republican government under Cromwell. Puritanism imposed strict moral codes, leading to the suppression of theaters and secular entertainment. Literature often focused on religious and moral instruction. Literary features. Religious prose dominated, reflecting Puritan ideals. Poetry often expressed spiritual devotion or lamented the loss of cultural and artistic freedoms. Secular literature declined due to censorship and strict societal norms. Notable works and writers: John Milton's Areopagitica, 1644, a prose work defending freedom of speech. Thomas Hobbes's Leviathan, 1651, a philosophical treatise on human nature and governance. Andrew Marvell's poetry, blending political concerns with lyrical beauty. Notable works: 1. William Shakespeare's plays. Works like Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet explored timeless themes of love, ambition, and human nature. 2. Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, a tragedy about ambition and the pursuit of knowledge. 3. Edmund Spenser's The Faerie Queene, an allegorical epic poem celebrating Elizabethan virtues. 4. Sir Thomas More's Utopia, a prose work exploring the concept of an ideal society. Prominent writers and contributors: 1. William Shakespeare, the most celebrated playwright and poet of the English Renaissance, known for his profound understanding of human nature. 2. Christopher Marlowe, a master of tragedy, whose works often explored ambition and the supernatural. 3. Edmund Spenser, renowned for his intricate poetry and allegorical narratives. 4th, Ben Jonson, a key figure in comedy and satire, known for works like Volpone and The Alchemist. 5. John Donne, a metaphysical poet whose work combined intellectual complexity with emotional depth. Significance of the period: the Renaissance revolutionized English literature, transforming it into an art form that explored the depths of human experience. It celebrated individuality, reason, and creativity, laying the foundation for modern literary traditions. The period's writers produced works of enduring appeal, addressing universal themes that resonate with audiences to this day. Shakespeare, in particular, remains a towering figure whose influence is felt across the literary and artistic world. The Renaissance marked the flowering of English drama, poetry, and prose, introducing innovative forms and themes that set the stage for future literary movements. It was a time of artistic exuberance and intellectual inquiry, mirroring the broader cultural awakening sweeping across Europe. Thank you.